Hey guys, it's Shane here from LazerGaming, and in this video I will be talking about the new game World War III that was just announced and is releasing this fall with early access coming in the summer, and I'm going to be comparing it to Battlefield 5, the sort of main game that I'm covering on my channel right now, because a lot of you guys were asking for this game to sort of cover it, and I thought why not compare it to Battlefield 5. It's sort of a competitor of the game, it's trying to compete with the Battlefield franchise and sort of fill that modern niche that Battlefield hasn't filled for over like 4 or 5 years. And yeah, so I'm just gonna be comparing both these games, the game by Farm 51 and the game by DICE. Before getting this video, just like say, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe down below for much more content on everything in the Battlefield universe, and for the giveaway, which I will be announcing the winner of later today, for the PSN gift card. Guys, still enter down below. Try to leave me a way to contact you, because I've had trouble contacting some of the winners, just responding to their comments. But yeah, just try to leave a way to contact you, because I might re-pick a winner again if I am not able to contact the other one. But yeah, let's just get right into this video about World War III. So World War III, I'm gonna sort of just go through this, a direct comparison between World War III and Battlefield 5. We're gonna start with vehicles. So both these games have vehicular gameplay, and that's sort of what makes World War III a direct competitor with Battlefield. There aren't really too many other games on the market, especially big multiplayer shooters, that have infantry versus vehicular combat and sort of the interaction between them. Now, World War III has fighter jets, tanks, and pretty much most vehicles you can think of. I didn't see like sort of ATVs and more transport-oriented vehicles. I didn't even see helicopters in the trailer. But who knows, they could obviously come later. This is obviously in an early state of development, so we don't really know everything right now, but they both appear to have vehicles, and so that is a good sign for World War III, especially considering it is modern vehicles with more modern technology. Now, both games boast 64-player multiplayer. Now, this is really where World War III appears to be a direct competitor with Battlefield, because its player count is 64, the exact same as Battlefield's player count. So we can likely expect 32v32 combat, and that's just going to make it pretty much on as large of a scale as Battlefield is. So this isn't going to be a sort of small 10v10 vehicular gameplay game. This is going to be big 32v32, just like Battlefield. Now, they also have good infantry gameplay, and the few bits of gameplay we see here look like they have pretty in-depth sights and customization on their weapons, and it looks like the guns have pretty good sort of speed and stuff like that with how they sort of shoot. However, what we don't know is sort of the time to kill in the game. They say they're trying to make it authentic, but we don't know if that means that it's just sort of like the bullet speed is regular, but it's still like 4 or 5 shots to kill, or if that really means that the guns are really 1 or 2 shots to kill. I think if they go the latter, it may not compete with Battlefield as well, just because a lot of Battlefield players, and sort of just players in general, aren't really into that sort of 1 to 2 shots to kill. It just makes the game a little too like hard to play, and you can't really go on long kill streaks and stuff like that. Now, the main difference between these two games is that World War III is set in a sort of modern alternate future. It's set around present day, so there's present day technology with a few liberties, because it is a slightly postmodern era with like World War III and stuff like that. But it really, most of the technology is grounded in the modern era. Whereas Battlefield 5 is historical, so they don't have as much advanced technology, they can't take as much liberties with what they do with customization and stuff like that. There's just really a lot less guns they can choose from in Battlefield 5 because it is a World War II setting. Now, sort of World War III is going for a very authentic depiction of what World War III would look like, obviously without nuclear weapons. They're not exploring that yet right now in the game, but playable areas include Warsaw, Berlin, and Moscow, and the final version of the game will likely have more zones to play in. Those are just sort of the ones that are in the Steam Early Access, which will come in this summer. And they also seem to sort of have like a Tides of War-like service, which makes it very similar to Battlefield 5, and that's because the game will sort of evolve as the year goes on. As sort of battles are won by different sides, the game will progress differently, which is really interesting. So you're going to be able to choose what faction you want to be on in the game, whether it's Americans, Germans, sorry, not the Germans aren't in it, but Americans, Soviets, are really the big players in this, and you'll be able to choose the different sides that you want to be on, and whichever side is doing better will sort of progress the World War III in a different direction, and this is based on all the players' numbers and stuff like that. At least that's what I've heard so far. They may not be able to actually execute this, but it's a pretty ambitious thing, and it seems like a sort of really cool version of Tides of War that sort of is dictated by the players, whereas Battlefield is more dictated by history. Now, again, both of them are going to have like different maps, different modes, but World War III appears to only have two different modes, Conquest and then a BR-like mode. So the Battle Royale mode is a bit different because it is Battle Royale with squads, but you sort of have objectives within the Battle Royale, like fight over this objective and you get like a care package and stuff like that. And that really will change up the way Battle Royale is played, and I think it's kind of interesting that they're doing it in a Battlefield-like environment with maybe the tank combat and stuff like that. But again, Battlefield 5 will have more content at launch most likely because it's a AAA game, so it's most likely going to have more maps, and we know that it will have more modes than World War III, so I thought I'd just mention that. So now we're going to move on to another part of the game, and that is sort of the customization. Both games seem to have very in-depth customization, whereas World War III seems to be very military authentic. Just sort of everyone is a generic soldier, but you can customize your soldier based on the faction and stuff like that. There isn't really any outlandish customization. Like, for example, today in the American military, you wouldn't see somebody running around with a mohawk and a tank top. Everyone in the American military generally runs similar looking uniforms, at least in modern times, so that's sort of how the game's going to be depicted. Whereas in Battlefield 5, you're going to have different customization based on what you want your soldier to look like, and it's sort of going to be a lot more in-depth, it seems, but maybe not as accurate to sort of the time they're trying to depict and what most soldiers look like. Now, the cost of the game is unknown right now. We can maybe assume that it would be $60, but if they're really trying to compete with Battlefield, if they price it like $30 or $40, it might do that. Another sort of drawback to the game is that it seems to be only available on PC right now. They might port console later, but that really is what's going to hold it back from competing with Battlefield. The fact that it's only on PC is going to make the accessibility a lot lower for the console players that want to get in on it and sort of maybe get a different game than Battlefield 5, a more modern one. It really isn't available for the consoles right now, which does suck. Now, the last two things we want to talk about is both games have squads and really encourage squad team play. And they're just both very team play centric games, and they really encourage interaction within your squad in sort of achieving the objectives within the game. So that's good to know. They're sort of going for this similar thing that we've seen from Battlefield in the past. And then sort of the combat is the last thing I'm going to talk about, sort of the customization of the guns itself and your class. World War III does not have any class. It does not have a class system like Battlefield. Everyone has access to the same gadgets and stuff like that, but I'm assuming your gadgets, whether you choose a medkit or an RPG or stuff like that, will really dictate how your soldier plays. It's just the primary weapons that really will be universal across all classes. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but again, I'm not going to necessarily comment on it because the game's not out yet, and we don't have as much information per se as we have about Battlefield 1 because the developers and YouTubers aren't as involved in the development of this game as they are with Battlefield 1. And one last thing is they are boasting the most accurate tank combat and sort of the most realistic sort of like bullet to tank combat in the industry. So that's a pretty bold claim. We'll see how it pans out, but it seems like they're sort of taking shots at Battlefield right now, and they're definitely coming after them. Tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section. Tell me if you guys think you'll be getting into this game on early access on Steam. I most likely will, and I'll be giving you guys some content on it when it does drop. But again, boys, that's what it is for you guys. Tell me what you thought in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys next time.